all my fantasy football friends. Welcome in. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty Football Podcast here on YouTube. This is Tony Stoll coming at you, Stosh X on the Sleeper app. We are here with our Week 7 weekly breakdown with our buying and selling. As always, I'm joined by my partner, my co-host, Greg the Philosiraptor. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic, Tony. How is your season going at the 1/3 poll?
Yo, it's
Doing
going
good?
great. I'm having a great time. Last week was a little rough, but
Was it?
yeah, Kenneth Walker's breakout has been awesome. He's just been such a killer. So we love that, and I'm just digging fantasy. We're gonna win some money this year. I'm stoked. How's your year going?
Yeah, absolutely. This week was a bounce back. 2 weeks ago was my worst week of the season,
Yeah.
but I have sandwiched it between two really stellar weeks, and I'm having a very, very good season so far.
There's that Herbert Walker buy, that combo from a couple weeks ago. That was tough. But speaking of buys, we're going to be doing some buying and some selling here on the show. We just want to break right into it. So we are buying high and selling low on some players. We like to buy guys who are trending up. So what bandwagons can we jump on? I want to rip us off today. My buy high right now for entering Week 7's games is going to be the New York Giants wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm buying Wan'Dale right now. I really like what I've seen from him so far on the field. He's coming off an 8-target game last week and then back-to-back 6-reception games the 2 weeks prior. He's wide receiver 62 right now on crowdsourcing website Keep Trade Cut. That's up from wide receiver 70 about 3 weeks ago. So Wan'Dale's got the juice to be a very productive slot receiver in the league. He's showing that. He's got the hands. He's got the ability to make people miss after the catch. He can play in the NFL. And this offense is just starving for playmakers, I think. I expect them to keep adding at the wide receiver position, like in future years as a dynasty ad. And Wan'Dale does maintain relevance in their offense because I think he's the most talented wide receiver on their team. Wan'Dale can probably be had for about a second-round pick, maybe a contender's second. Maybe you got to kick a little more in to get him. And you may have a starting wide receiver in these start 10, start 12 leagues for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love that. Some injury risk with Wan'Dale,
Yeah.
but I think he's a little bit under the radar still, and I think at some point he's going to have one of these 6-catch games, but where one of them goes to the house, and then people will notice that he's getting the consistent work, and then he won't be available for wide receiver 62 prices anymore. I absolutely think that he's got high second round draft capital, right? So there's every reason to believe that Brian Daboll and the Giants are invested in him. I really love this pick. I didn't think of Wan'Dale, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. It's a good pick.
You've talked about him a lot on the show, and he's kind of your guy that I'm a little bit stealing from you here, but he's definitely a buy right now at this like super low value.
Right.
Pick him up. He's got nowhere to go but up. Who you buying?
They clearly want to feed him the ball. That's the thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm buying another wide receiver, Jacoby Myers with the Raiders, wide receiver 38. This is up from wide receiver 51 a month ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wide receiver 65 in the preseason, but he is wide receiver 16 on the year. He's only 26 years old, and like he's too old to be young. He is too young to be old.
Yeah.
He's not good enough to be great, but he's too good to overlook. And I think there's profit to be had here. He's just under the radar for how good he is. And hey, guys, if Davante Adams forces his way out of town, there is like actual additional upside here where he could be a surprise top 5 target guy in the league by the end of the year if something like that breaks the right way. So I think for the kinds of, he's trading as a high wide receiver 4 right now. So like, what could you get him for? Could you get him for a contending second for sure? I think
maybe, yeah. He's been very productive so far. Like
you might have to pay a second and a third.
Yeah.
But I'm in there. You're not having to pay a first for him at these prices, and so to me, he's a guy I'm very interested in. Especially, he's the kind of guy. If a team announces that they are tearing it down, right? He might be the 5th best player on their team.
Yeah.
So you go to them and you say, "I'll give you a second." That's where you get it done. And like they're trying to sell off their bigger names to other people, and someone comes at them for this. I think you can get those deals done. So I'm very in on Jacoby Myers' outlook rest of season.
Oh yeah, I mean his cost relative to what he can do for your team in a three wide receiver starting league is awesome. So I love that. Myers has always had a special place for me. He was a UFA, like when I started playing Dynasty on Sleeper in like 2019, and I had a lot of him. I still have a lot of those residual shares. Someone you could just pick up off the wire, and now he's a quality Dynasty asset, quality fantasy relevant wide receiver.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, man. All right, so now we're gonna kick them while they're down. We're gonna talk about the good guys. Stop talking about the good guys that we really like, and start talking about some dudes that are having some problems. So the low-hanging fruit, as always, with the sell low category is at the running back position, and I'm gonna jump on one of them. So right now, I am selling Mr. Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs has throughout his career had a pretty good, like modest between 4 and 5 yards per carry. After 100 attempts this season, 6 games, he's down to under 3 yards per carry. That is a massive red flag. That's very scary. Jacobs has always hung his hat on being a heavy touchdown scorer. You can see his touchdown numbers on your screen there. He's only got 2 so far through 6 games. That stinks. He is a UDFA at the end of the season, completely no contract obligations. He could be franchised again, I guess. But as it's right now, he's a UFA. Jacobs is a sell. He's had a lot of receptions, like targets this season. Let me see if I can put that back up. So like that's buoyed his fantasy value. He's currently the RB11 on PPR scoring with like these 11 target games and such. But I think you could sell him. I think you can sell him to a like any contending team for probably their first round pick and more. I want to say I'm not selling Jacobs if I feel like I have a championship like potential. If I feel like I'm a top 4 or 5 team in my league, I would not let Jacobs go for what I'm talking about. But he's the type of player that would make me take a hard look at the roster and say, all right, it's time to start kind of making a decision. And if I think I'm not really competing for a title, I would definitely shop Jacobs to all the teams that are.
Yeah, so you're ready to get out before the bottom falls out.
He could go down so aggressively, so fast when it happens.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So are you sour on his production this year, going forward for the rest of season?
No, I'm not, and that's why I'm not afraid to hold him. Like when I say I would sell him, I mean I would stick to my guns with these owners, and I would be asking for their 24 first plus something like just some kind of kick in, like second round value type of player, like a Myers that you're talking about. I want a pick to replace Jacobs plus some juice, and if I don't get that, I'm going to keep holding him. And maybe sell more aggressively later as things develop more. But like as it stands right now, you should, if you're not a contender, you should be exploring trading this player.
So let me ask you another question. If you were a contender, is there a kind of running back you would replace? You would try to make a move to replace his value, like
upgrade from into Jacobs. Is that what you're saying?
Is
like to tier up? Sorry,
it's tier down out of Jacobs.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Who's a good tier down target? Yeah,
for like a real rentally guy, but where you, like is Kyron? He's a little hurt, but like is there a Kyron Williams?
I see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, if you're trying to maintain the production and then tier down and kind of cash out on the overall value that Jacobs has. Off the top of my head, like Jalen Warren comes to mind. Like someone who's almost free, so I could get that person's first and that player in the deal potentially.
Okay, you're looking to tier way down. Okay.
Well, yeah, gotcha. But like who's someone more in the middle area?
Could you get Mostert in a second for him? And would you be interested? You know what I mean? Like
you may be able to. That's interesting. Whoever has Mostert is probably winning all their football games right now. So I don't know if they're going to trade him, but maybe.
I think it's interesting to think about ways to move off of Jacobs into a younger asset that's perceived as less at the running back position, where you might get the same production this year. And then
Brian Robinson maybe comes to mind.
And Brian Robinson in a second.
Yeah,
you're a contender. You get Brian Robinson in a second. You put Brian Robinson in the same spot in the lineup. Are you down enough on Jacobs' production this year to make a move like that?
I would most likely make that move in the places where I own Jacobs and am competing. I like that a lot. I didn't look at it from that angle, but
Yeah.
yeah, I do like that. Quick note on my notes here: Jacobs is going to end this season with about 1,600 career touches, and I've always preached that about 1,500 is where things start to get rough for running backs. So that's another part of this equation.
Very good. So my sell low on the week is Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was the wide receiver 27 in the preseason on August 23rd. He rose to the wide receiver 16 in Dynasty at 28 years old. On September 15th, I have
After not having played for like a year and a
2
half.
years.
2 years, yeah.
Right. A year and a half. But yeah, like, and he's back down to the wide receiver 29, which is where he was in the preseason. And to be quite honest, like, he should be priced considerably lower than he was priced in the preseason, because, like, within the range of outcomes, I think we've seen he's not the best receiver on that team. And we didn't think that was going to be true. And like, he's at best the third most interesting place they can put the ball with ETN and Kirk at this point, right? So
maybe
like,
Ingram too is contesting him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Will Zay Jones ever get healthy? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Ridley's totally done. I just think it's, could you get Jacoby Myers at plus for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Could you get, like, I don't know. Could you get Wan'Dale Robinson in a second and get just as many points out of Wan'Dale Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little less because Calvin may have more of a one or two more pop games remaining, but like very similar week to week, like PPG.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like the Wan'Dale option a lot. Jacoby's good. Pick your poison among Packers receivers, not Christian Watson. One of those guys, maybe. Yeah.
Right. So there are places to go from Calvin Ridley where you get stuff with it, and I don't think you lose a lot production-wise. So to me, I think you'll regret not selling when he's 29.
Yeah, he's he really peaked there for a second, and it's almost like a pump and dump scheme with how aggressively he went up, and now how aggressively he will most likely fall unless something really happens here. Yeah, so that's buying and selling. We buy high, we sell low, and we give you the idea of trends that will continue trending. We're going to talk about the upcoming slate of games here for Week 7 football. We're going to take you through all 12 games out ahead of us. One was already knocked out on Thursday, so we got 12 games here. I love this slate. There's like a really polarizing slate in front of us where there's like a bunch of kind of crummy games and then a bunch of really good ones. So I'm excited to get into this. But we're taking a look at all the fantasy relevant options in the whole slate of games here. Quick weather report. There's really no weather that's going to be problematic in any games this week. It might rain in Seattle, so heads up.
That's about it.
Yeah. First one up, we got Detroit. Detroit Lions are going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Baltimore side of this thing. We got a 42-point over-under. Baltimore side, we got Lamar, Zay Flowers, and Mark Andrews are all going to be starting in your starting lineup. And we take a look at all these from the angle of a 10 or 12 team Superflex PPR tight end premium type league. That's me and Greg playing a ton of those style of leagues. So these are like bigger rosters. Yeah.
You're talking really like 3 receivers and 2 flexes.
Yeah.
I think is sort of where this starts.
2-3 flexes usually. Yeah. Tight end. We play in a lot of 2 tight end leagues too, so we reference that a lot. But yeah, Baltimore. We're starting Lamar. We're starting Zay Flowers. We're starting Mark Andrews. Easy. Justice Hill and Gus Edwards are crummy RB3s for me this week. Detroit's the best defense in the league against the fantasy running back. They're allowing 10 points per game to the whole running back position. That's about how much these Ravens running backs scored last week, not even playing against them. This sucks for these guys. So that's running back. At wide receiver, you got Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham Jr., and Nesson Aguilar. I'm just going to clump them all together because they're all seeing about the same number of targets, 3 to 5 targets a game. One of them could score a touchdown here. I wouldn't play any of them. They're all in that wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 category for me. Yeah, that's Baltimore.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's just right. I lean Hill over Gus.
Gus got more
Detroit,
carries last week, didn't he?
yeah, but Hill was better with his and got all the targets. Um, on the Detroit side, I'm starting. You're starting Goff, Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam LaPorta. Jahmyr Gibbs is a big must start here with David Montgomery out. Craig Reynolds is expected to play. High variance running back 3 here. Kind of a dart throw, but like a fun dart throw with some upside. He's going to need to get more work than he got the last time Monty.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yep.
Baltimore is a top 10 defense against fantasy quarterbacks and wide receivers, which makes Jameson Williams a high risk, high reward wide receiver. I'm going to say low wide receiver 3, high wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
Josh Reynolds is still playable, high snap share, targets down a little bit last week, low wide receiver 3, better floor, less ceiling than Jameson Williams. But I think we're trying to avoid those if we can, those 2 plays if we can. Next game, the Las Vegas Raiders at the Chicago Bears. The over-under here is 37.5 points. Tony, where are we at with Bears players?
The Bears players, few and far between, unfortunately. Looks like Dante Foreman's going to get the start. Roshan was ruled out earlier. Foreman's going to get the lion's share of the work, probably 15 to 20 touches. We'll see what he can do with them. DJ Moore is a must start, just based on his body of work the last couple of weeks. He's just been absolutely on fire. Even though what is this guy's name? Bajent?
Yeah. Rhymes with agent.
Bajent. Is it Tyson, right? Yeah, Tyson Bajent. Yeah. I was reading about him. So he's the most yardage in college football history, or all time.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess he could sling it, but I think he's going to struggle. You play Moore. You play Kmet for the same reasons you play Moore. He's just been too good for his position. Yeah, I think you play Foreman. Travis Homer and Darrington Evans are going to split the third down role. I'm trying to stay away from both of those guys. Anything else for Chicago?
Not much. The one thing I want to say about Bajent is he runs a little bit.
Yeah.
So while I think while I agree that he's going to struggle, if you were in bye week hell, I think he's got a puncher's chance of having a good fantasy week.
He's my last quarterback on the week. I probably wouldn't play him, but I could see it. Any of these quarterbacks, there's a case to be made to always play any active quarterback you have, for sure. I mean, definitely.
All right. On the Raiders side, your must starts: Jacobs, Adams, Myers. Michael Mayer is pretty close to a must start at this depth in a tight end premium. I think he's a fringe tight end 1, tight end 2, which probably makes him a flex 2.
Yeah.
That 10th guy in your start 10 lineups in a tight end premium half point. He's been really coming on. And then we've got Brian Hoyer starting at quarterback.
Brian Hoyer.
Probably, or has that been announced?
It's been confirmed.
It's been confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got Brian Hoyer starting at quarterback. I mean, good. See, I'd start Tyson Bajent here. This is where I'm at.
Really, I would play Hoyer over. I've been looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you are into that, I'm in bye week hell, maybe I've got a quarterback 1 and I'm looking at some skill position players or the guys in this game who you might be able to stream. I don't know. I do think Hoyer, look, he's got good receivers. They might make him look good.
I was thinking that. That's all. And he's a veteran. He's, I really took a look at his last 7 years. He hasn't had a 300-yard game since 2017, but he has had one. I don't know. He's quarterback 22 for me or something. Yeah.
It's very late.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Buffalo Bills at New England Patriots. The over-under is 41. What do you think, Tony?
Patriots. The only must start I see on the Patriots roster right now is Rhamondre. He had a bit of a bounce back game this past week, right? Let me bring him up. There we go. Yeah, 18 points he scored. Caught 5 passes. So Rhamondre is a must start. So Mac Jones is quarterback 23 for me. He's above Bijan. He's gonna have a tough time. I looked at his splits against Buffalo last year. He averages about 250 yards and 2 touchdowns against Buffalo last season. If he did that to this week, I'd be pretty surprised. I think that's about his ceiling here. Yeah, so I'd stay away from Mac if I could. Zeke is a low end RB3. He's getting about 10 touches, and he's averaging about 4 yards on those touches. So do with that, compare to that to your other guys you have options for, because you're going to get about 4 or 5 points from him. Bourne is the only wide receiver you could start if you even considered playing one. He's a wide receiver 4 for me, even coming off his big game last week.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver 3 for me.
Yeah.
I'm not super excited, but we've now got 3 good games out of 6.
Sure.
You're right. He's got 3. I want to say like 9 target plus games,
Yeah,
something
he
like
has,
that.
yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't. No, I'm playing Kendrick Bourne over both the Detroit guys.
You think so?
Yeah, I like Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I like that too. I think I do the same. Yeah.
He's playable now. And then we've got Hunter Henry mispractice today, which leaves us with
I didn't even know
Mike.
that.
Yeah, which leaves us with the Mike Gesicki talk, and I think you want to stay away from all the pass catchers here, except for Bourne. That
Bourne.
I think is my take. Yeah,
Bourne and Rhamondre, and anyone else, and you're kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
What's going on in Buffalo?
I mean, we're starting Allen. We're starting Diggs. We're starting Gabe Davis even off the bad week. He's going to have to be bad more times in a row than before we give up on Gabe Davis. This is before you even question it. He's a must start right now. And James Cook, not staying in the flames here, but I think we are definitely playing James Cook in what could be a big lead plus game, plus game script kind of game. Then we've got Latavius Murray out, Damian Harris going on injured reserve today.
Okay. Yeah.
So Latavius Murray to me is he's more than a dart.
He's like a floor dart.
He's not a great. He's a dart with a floor.
Yeah.
Right. And the upside that he falls in the end zone twice is still there. But I think the floor is going to be he's going to get 8 carries and 3 targets.
Murray or Zeke in this game?
Murray.
I agree. I would go Murray as well. You side with the better offense. They're going to move
it's
the
very
ball better.
Close. But yep. I do think Harris was getting enough run that makes a difference. And then we're getting another missed game for Kincaid, it looks like. And so
Dawson Knox is playable. He's a good he's tight end 1 option. Yep.
High tight end 2. He's perfectly fine.
Yep. Let's move over to the NFC a little bit. We're going to go to Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. Divisional matchup, 39-point over-under. Just throw it on the bad games pile. On the Giants side of this thing, we're starting Saquon and we're starting Darren Waller. There you go. Daniel Jones is going to miss. Tyrod Taylor is going to start. I have him down there in that Mac Bajan area. He's playable. He's at home. He runs a little bit. He makes decent decisions where he probably won't go negative. Probably. Washington.
Sam Howell might turn over the ball 3 times. Red zone, right?
Totally could. Tyrod's playable. I like him more than those other dudes, but he's down there.
I like him more than both of those.
Yeah. He's like quarterback 20 or something for me, Tyrod. The Giants starting wide receiver group. So we're starting to see a little bit of clarity, at least in terms of snap share. Wan'Dale Robinson is the clear 1. That's why he was my buy this week. Darius Slayton is a wide receiver 4 this week and the clear 2 on this team. And then Jalen Hyatt is he's seeing 60% of snaps, and he's like a playable dart ultra 14-15 starter league. You could play Jalen Hyatt as a wide receiver 5, but he is the clear 3rd wide receiver on this team.
Yeah, if I played DFS, I would be making some Jalen Hyatt lineups, right? Because he's a guy who could have a week where he's 3 for 140 and 2, right? And he's the wide receiver 2 on the week for no DFS dollars, right?
He
So
costs like nothing. Yeah, exactly.
Right,
He's a
right.
perfect kind of dart. Yep.
So like, while I don't love it, yet, I think you should be encouraged by Jalen Hyatt getting on the field. Like he's a guy I'd be interested in poking around and buying.
Yeah, I have a few shares of him. I liked him in the third round this past year. But yeah. What else we got? The other side of this, yeah, Commanders. Yep.
Sam Howell has played well enough that in the Superflex format, with all the buys, you have to start him 9 times out of 10. Brian Robinson, I feel pretty much the same. I mean, he does always run some risk of getting game scripted. He is not playing in obvious passing situations very often. Although he is getting some passing down or some passing game work on like 1st and 10 neutral game script. Like they are throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
But this is a game that's going to be close.
Yeah.
So I feel like Brian Robinson might actually have a huge week here. Terry McLaurin, definitely you're starting him. Antonio Gibson, I mean, high variance play, low running back 3. I'm trying to bench him in any kind of start 10, maybe in a start 12. We're throwing a dart. What to do with Jahan Dotson? I think you and I are both in agreement that sitting him for now, when possible, is probably a good idea. Yeah, I mean, who are we looking at between him and the guys in Detroit or Kendrick Bourne? I'll play Kendrick Bourne over him. How about that? Play the Bourne line for me.
That's interesting. I'd probably go Dotson there. I like him more, and I like him more than the Reynolds and the Jamesons as well. The snaps and the talent are good, but like, you know, right there with Bourne. Yeah, maybe it is Bourne over Dotson.
Bourne has 44 targets this year.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore that. I'm not going to sit here and ignore that. So, but it just sucks, that matchup. And I know Howell's going to throw the ball a ton. At least I expect him to. But the Giants are bad against the run also. So it's
and the over under here is so garbage.
Yeah.
You don't want to. Yeah. Logan Thomas.
Give me some floor with Bourne. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I get you. Logan Thomas, low and tight end one this week. I think he had a bad game last week. You know, the targets just went elsewhere, but like I think we're going to see a bunch of 8 target games this year for him. Logan Thomas or David Njoku?
Give me Thomas, even if Watson plays.
I'll play Thomas. Yeah. How about Michael Mayer?
Give me Mayer.
I'm with you again.
Yep.
All right. Next game, we've got the Falcons at the Buccaneers. Over under of 38. Tony, this is 5 consecutive games with an over under of 42 or lower.
Oh, it's crazy. We'll get into the good ones here. I think this is the last of the crummy games. But we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hosting the Falcons. On Tampa's side of this, I'm starting Baker as a rock-solid QB2 this week. We love Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are firmly in all of my lineups where I own them. And then I think Rachaad White is in there for anyone in these leagues we're talking about. But maybe a conversation is starting to be had. He saw a big drop in his usage. The snaps are still there. I'm playing him pretty much everywhere unless I'm really stacked, but it's not looking good for White right now.
Yeah, he hasn't been good.
Like all year.
But now, so like one thing that's, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but like, so like a number that JJ Zacharyson over at Late Round QB really likes, and he's one of the best analytics guys out there, is yards per carry, the delta yards per carry between the player and all the other running backs on the team.
Yeah, like yards over replacement.
Right, so White still has a positive delta yards per carry versus his teammates, right? So like that is a sign that the run blocking is the problem, and so he's not super at risk of getting replaced right now. That is what I think is you're probably running him out there because he's probably getting 15 touches of low quality, but in by apocalypse in a start 10, you don't have a choice.
The ceiling's super low though against this Atlanta top 3 against the run defense.
Completely agree.
That's a challenge. And then what else we got on Tampa side of this? Oh yeah, Atlanta is a great defense. They're pretty beatable at the tight end position though. They're like bottom 5. You could maybe play K. Dotton. I really like him as a tight end too. I don't know if I'm confident to play him over any of my tight end 1 options that I own.
No. And on the Falcons side,
yeah.
Man, it's the big 3. I think you're playing all of them. Bijan, London, Pitts. London and Pitts have been on a tear. I feel good about both of them. Pitts is a mid tight end 1 for me at this point. Tight end is kind of a hellscape. He's got a ceiling. London has, actually, if you just throw out week 1, he's been really good.
Yeah, he's been awesome. It's really making a lot of haters eat their words, including myself. London's been great.
Yeah, do you remember when you traded me Drake London for Jerry Jeudy and Daniel Bellinger? Oh, that was fun.
Still waiting on Bellinger. Yeah, and
Bijan, yeah. Oh yeah, and Jeudy. Yeah, so no, yeah, absolutely. Desmond Ridder at this point, I think he's, not a great. He's a lower end quarterback too, but I'm playing him over. I'm playing him over skill position guys,
yeah,
and therefore, by apocalypse, he's probably a super flex starter, right? Jonnu Smith has been averaging 6 targets a game since week 2. If you need somebody, he's out there.
It's top 10 tight end on the season, Jonnu. What do you do with this? Do you play Jonnu or like Njoku we were talking about earlier?
I'm probably Jonnu over Njoku.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other guys, I'll play Logan Thomas, Michael Mayer over Jonnu.
Cole Kmet with Bajent or Jonnu.
Kmet.
Yeah, me too. There's going to be some good volume there.
And then Tyler Algier, I mean, the volume is good. He just has been not doing anything.
There's no ceiling here at all. He hit it in week 1 and got people kind of excited, but there's just
he's a running back 3 and not a fun one.
Yeah, he's
that's where I'm at with
him.
A
4 or 5 point floor, and then maybe he scores.
But he is getting a lot of work, and he's getting a lot of work down in the red zone, and he scored a couple times. So it's there. You can do it. But you're holding your breath, man.
I love him as a Bijan owner. If I have I love him as a handcuff because I know if Bijan goes down, I just have this guy, and he's gonna get 35 carries. It's gonna be great. So.
Exactly, and if you're in buy hell, you can start him. So he has that amount of standalone value as the best handcuff in the league. So I agree.
All right, we got another game here. We're gonna start breaking into the kind of good ones. Pittsburgh is going to the West Coast. They're taking on the Rams. Boy, there's gonna be a lot of Pittsburgh fans in LA. I can't wait to see that. So we're gonna start with the LA side of this thing. On the Rams, in our formats, we're starting Stafford, Kupp, and Puka. Easy. There you go. This Rams backfield is a conversation. This thing is rough. We got 4 guys here. Zach Evans, Royce Freeman, Myles Gaskin, and Darrell Henderson. It looks like all 4 of these players will be active on game day. I expect this situation to be Evans leading, with Royce coming in as the second option, and Henderson to get some work, with Gaskin seeing almost no work. That's what I expect to happen. I'm starting Evans as a low-end RB3 in a few spots. I'm not excited about it. I would love to stay away from this whenever possible.
I just want to say, I think I'm a little more bullish on Evans than you are.
Sure.
I don't have to start him anywhere, but I would start him as more of a high-end running back 3. I would start him ahead of Tyler Algier, for example. Because I feel
above Algier, yeah.
There's a ceiling here, right?
There
is. That's what I would start him over Zeke. I would start him over Murray. Because
I agree.
I'm actually pretty. In places where I didn't have Kyren Williams, I didn't have anything there, and all of a sudden I've got Zach Evans to throw in my flex 2, flex 3, maybe more flex 3, that 10th last. I'm actually pretty excited to have that this week.
Yeah, low end 3 was aggressive. I shouldn't have said that. Even looking back, but he's if he's in my RB2 spot, I'm probably not super stoked. But yeah, if he's in my flex too, I'm
No, but if he's
probably
down there in
starting.
one of those flexes,
Yeah, that
yeah,
feels
yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah. I'd love him over like a Jahan Dotson or a Bourne, those type of players.
There you go. I'm probably starting Bourne, but I think you're too low on Bourne. But I agree with all of that in spirit.
I have a ton of Kendrick Bourne. I have so much of him, and I've just been
So
staring. I stare at him on my bench for years and years. So if my expectations are low, Tyler Higbee is a tight end too. That's where he sits. I don't want him to be my tight end one if I can avoid it. And Pittsburgh is really bad against the fantasy wide receiver. I think you may be able to play Tutu. Where are you at with him?
yeah, I'm playing. I like Tutu
Mm-hmm.
decently this week. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of in on Tutu until we see like.
One target last week.
If we see another really bad game,
Yeah.
I could be out. But he was on the field all day.
Yeah.
They run 3 wide receiver more than anybody else in the league. I think they intend to use him a decent amount this year.
Tutu or Dotson?
Tutu.
Bourne.
Bourne.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. Pittsburgh. What are we doing with the Steelers?
On the Steelers side, Pickens, Jalen Warren, Najee Harris. I mean, honestly, Pickens is the only must start here for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kenny Pickett. Honestly, is a fringe over a skill position player to me. He's one of the lowest quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
The 2 running backs, Warren and Harris, are both good starts, but I wouldn't have them as much starts. I think they're fringe RB2, RB3s. Warren's probably ahead of Harris in a full PPR, and Harris ahead of Warren in a half PPR, I think. I don't really want to play either of these guys, but you might have to because of the bipocalypse. But like, I think they've reached the point where I don't love starting any of them when everybody on my roster is available if I've got a contending team. And then we've got Deontay Johnson all the way back. He is not listed on the injury report. He is expected to be activated from IR this weekend. And I think he's pretty close to a must start at this point, unless you had replaced him in some way where you just don't need him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm starting pretty much all my Deontay shares. The Pickett stuff is interesting. I agree he's probably the only must start in this game, but like everything he's done over the last month was without Deontay, so it's all now maybe there's some more reality to come. And then
yeah, but he stepped up a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, he did. No, he shined.
Yeah, so I don't think he steps all the way down. I think he remains in the must start category here. He impressed me.
Allen Robinson had 9 targets this week. Would you play him?
Not with Johnson back.
Yeah, I agree. And then Freiermuth is re-injured his hamstring. He's going to miss some time. If you haven't heard about that, he's going to go out for another few weeks.
Can't start anybody in his place.
Otherwise, I'm right there with you on the Steelers' backs. I have Najee sat like everywhere I own him. It stinks. Let's stay in the AFC. Cleveland Browns going to Indy, playing in the Dome. Cleveland Browns must start. We got Jerome Ford. We got Amari Cooper. Deshaun Watson is in your starting lineup if he's active. And I do expect him to play. I think we expect Deshaun to play.
Yeah. I would say like 90%.
Yeah. Hunt is a pretty good RB2-3 option. We got Elijah Moore is a high tier wide receiver 4. We want Moore or Dotson. I'd probably take Moore there. A little volume.
I would play Moore over Jahan Dotson right now.
There you go. All right. DPJ is not playable right now. Donovan Peoples-Jones, third wide receiver 3 for the Browns. Mm-hmm. David Njoku is a mid-tier tight end 2. I think we're both looking for options that are not him where we own him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in your start 2 leagues, he's your number 2. You're fine, but like he's not the kind of tight end 2 where I'm looking to flex him in a tight end premium.
Sure, love it.
Colts.
It's funny because last year he was. Sorry, to interrupt.
Yes,
but like you would do that last year. Like I would flex him, and like now you can't. So it's just funny the way those things go.
Exactly. Colts must start players here. For me, this may be a little controversial, but to me, Jonathan Taylor's an easy must play. Like he's gonna get increasing work, and he is already like playing as a running back too. I think this is the week. Pittman, Downs have Josh Downs has reached must start status, I think, here. Zach Moss is a quality start, but I'm going to say he's short of a must start in a start 10 league. As we get start 11, start 12, you probably don't have options to get him on the bench. But like, one of these weeks he's going to get 4 or 5 touches. And Jonathan Taylor's going to get 22 touches. You know what I mean?
In reality, he's going to set back in a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd rather that happen on my bench.
Yeah.
If I had options. That's my thought here. And then with so many buys, Gardner Minshew is a low-end quarterback too. Do you want Gardner Minshew over Hoyer?
Oh, boy, give me Hoyer. I'm scared. The Browns defense might dismantle Minshew. I'll take Minshew over Bijan.
Pickett.
Give me Pickett.
Okay.
Yeah, that was gross. That's like the closest of all of them for me right there. Pickett and Minshew are like right there.
All right.
All right. Arizona at Seattle. All right, we're picking it up with a 44.5 point over/under as the Cardinals play their division opponent Seahawks. The Cardinals must starts. Hollywood Brown. Josh Dobbs is a low-end QB2 in our Superflex league, so we're starting him as well. I got Michael Wilson as a wide receiver 4. He's seen some volume drop off, unfortunately. And then we got Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be a wide receiver 5 for us. Not Wan'Dale, sorry, Rondale Moore is what I was thinking. Yeah, Wilson's volume dropping there a little bit. We got Ertz and McBride. McBride had a bit of a breakout game last week.
Yeah, and the snap shares flipped. So that felt like pushing the rookie up, even though he didn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go get him, Tiger.
Like,
yeah.
We got to get you snaps.
Yeah.
Like waving the white flag, which is like to me very good for his fantasy production. There's no point in throwing Zach Ertz out there anymore, right?
Yeah.
Also, by the way, is somebody out there going to give up a 6th-round pick to get Zach Ertz on their team for the rest of the season? I don't know. Like that, he feels like the kind of veteran asset who needs to be traded for a very low price.
You mean in the real NFL, like an NFL team trading for Ertz?
Yes.
Who could use him? What would be like our favorite? Where would Ertz go? That'd be our favorite spot for him. Put it on the spot. I don't know.
I don't know. But what I was actually more thinking about is that, like, there's
the Chargers
that could. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that very much. Mm-hmm. There's a chance it could open up something for McBride.
Yeah, the Chargers are the best tight end landing spot until they fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but open it up for McBride.
I can imagine
on the
Kansas
field.
City, by the way.
Yeah, I could see that too. He could fit right in there. It would make sense.
That would be silly.
Aren't him and Kelsey like bros? I feel like I've heard that before.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Arizona. What are we doing with the Hawks?
No, wait.
Oh, we got running backs. Sorry.
Running back.
Sorry. Running back situation: Keontae Ingram, Amari DiMercado. Ingram's a better play. We saw that last week. Keontae Ingram is the better play, but yeah, I don't like either of them. He's an RB3 for me.
Yeah, he's an RB3, but I think I have him as like a higher end RB3. I think this is another guy for whom there's like a ceiling. Because I can imagine the world where he breaks off a run or two early and all of a sudden he's due for 16 carries and 4 targets. You know what I mean?
Because all of a sudden he's hot. Yeah.
Right. Like he's gonna get the early work. He's gonna get the goal line work. I just feel like there's a ceiling here. Keontae Ingram or Tyler Algier?
Ingram for sure.
Okay. Keontae Ingram or Rashad White?
White.
Okay, I agree with that. Ingram or Zeke?
Ingram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ingram or the 2 Baltimore guys?
Ingram for sure.
Okay.
I'm definitely gonna chase the upside. Yeah.
So we're probably playing Ingram in most of our start 10s.
Yeah. I don't actually own him ananywhere, but I'm probably playing him.
I have quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a bit. A lot of my really dirty 0 RB teams. He's coming around just in time to save the day.
He was what, a 3rd round pick, right? Coming out?
No, he was a 6th round pick.
Oh, okay. That's what
people didn't think he would fall that far.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of day 2 grades from scouts, and then he fell.
All right, Seattle.
Seahawks side. So, okay, Ken Walker, Tyler Lockett, those are your must starts. You are either then going to have DK Metcalf as a must start if he plays, or JSN as a must start if Metcalf sits. Metcalf is currently a game time decision, which is a little bit messy because I believe this is a late start, right?
Yeah, it's a 4 o'clock. Yeah.
I will also say I think you can throw the dart at JSN even if Metcalf sits, because in addition to having a little bit of a floor, he got 7 targets last week, right? Even if they say Metcalf plays, like, who says he finishes the game?
Jason's in my lineups. I mean, he's in there. He's already in there. And then if I'm not basing my JSN plays over Metcalf or not.
If Metcalf plays, you're still just playing. You're rolling him out this year.
I'm playing JSN this week. He's on my bench a lot. There's been a lot of buzz about him. I'm not here to vouch for Pete Carroll's kind words. Obviously, any coach is going to step up for his guy. But there's been good buzz, and I like this matchup. And it's time. It's time.
Yeah, I haven't been playing him, and I'm pretty sure. I don't want to play him if Metcalf plays, but again, it's by apocalypse. You might have to. Geno Smith, mid quarterback 2. You probably aren't getting away from him. Although this is one of those weeks, he's a quarterback 2, but if all 3 of yours are healthy, you might not be playing him, right? So one of those. If all 3 of yours are not on bye, right? You might not be playing him. Zach Charbonnet, low running back 3. Again, I'm playing him behind Ingram. Charbonnet or Algier?
Algier. Charbonnet's going to be below all these guys. I'm sorry to cut you off, but he's down there because he's hurt too. He's in the concussion protocol, I think, or hamstring. It was a hamstring injury on him, and he may be either limited or not play. Walker's going to feast. Walker's got RB1 on the weak upside here. I think this is pretty good for him.
Good deal. All right. Moving right along, we got 3 more games. This is the last game of the daytime slate. Yep. Packers.
Green Bay's going Broncos. Into Denver. There you go, baby.
Over under is 45. Packers must starts. Go.
Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jordan Love. That's who we're starting right now. Musgrave is close. He's a fringe tight end 1. I'm probably starting him most places I own him, unless I have a Kittle or a Komet or a Andrews LaPorta type, Kelsey. So Musgrave's.
You just named more than half the league, right?
Yeah, I named all the tight ends.
6 or 7 guys, right?
Well, if you don't have a big time tight end option, Musgrave's a pretty good, good among the twos. Yeah. What was that? Sorry.
You can flex him in the tight end premium. That I think is really part of the key thing here. Is he's in your lineup almost one way or the other, even if you've got one of those guys.
Musgrave's a tight end who should see some volume this week. Aaron Jones, what's he doing with his injury here? All right, so do we think he's going to play or not? I think I expect him to play.
I think I expect him to sit.
Okay. I haven't followed it that closely, so what have you? Yeah. Have you? Yeah.
Well, he hadn't been practicing, is my understanding, and listen, this is going to be one of those where we record this when we record this, and you guys got to follow along.
Yeah, good luck.
He's got the questionable tag. He has the hamstring injury, which is one of those ugly, will he, won't he? It's a late game. He's been very heavily limited at practice all week, and I don't know.
I think I'm anticipating he sits. I'm trying to look for one of the leagues where I own him.
I would have him out of my lineup.
I should get him out.
I would not put yourself in a position where you absolutely are screwed if he comes up and sits. That is my thought. And I am terrified of re-injury risk with these hamstring game time decision. The hamstring game time decision has so much tears it on his, or re-aggravates it on the 3rd snap, and you get a 0.
You have to be so pessimistic about him, and it sucks. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I play him if he's active, I think, but I'd be looking for other pivot options in that window, things like that. It's something you're gonna have to play it by ear with Aaron Jones.
If you get an out designation, are you all the way? Is Dillon a must start?
No, he hasn't been.
Against the Broncos defense?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm sorry. I forgot they're playing
Yeah.
Dillon. Yeah, Dillon is an absolute must start. I'm sorry to rip your Broncos like that,
No,
but
no, no.
Dillon is a must start against
Oh no,
Denver.
we're rooting for losses at this point. Come on.
Yeah, get it. Let's go get Caleb, baby.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to see Drake May and Michael Penix rising up boards. Let's get us 3 or 4 options here.
You think Russ will just like give him his contract, the next QB, just hand it off to him? All right, so the Denver
Uh,
side of this thing.
Man, Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 3. Russ is a higher end quarterback 2, just because. And like those are the only guys who you're probably starting.
Yeah.
And then, honestly, I think Jaleel McLaughlin is ahead of Javonte Williams for me at the moment. I don't see how you can look at. I don't see how you can look at the way they're being used and not play it that way. So they're both running back 3s for me.
I agree. I like McLaughlin a little more. They are in that same tier. They'll probably see about the same amount of work. Yeah. And then, yeah, what did we say about Judy? Oh, we like him as a wide receiver 4. I don't even know if I like him as a 4. I'm trying to sit Judy whenever possible.
Okay. How do you like the 2 Bronco guys against Keontae Ingram?
The 2 Bronco guys against Keontae Ingram. Definitely. I like McLaughlin actually a little bit, but maybe I'm biased because I have a lot. I would go Ingram over them.
Okay. How do you like
I
them
don't know.
against?
Green Bay's running defense sucks. Sorry, but like.
I would go Ingram over both of them.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
How do you like them against? How do you like the Broncos guys versus the Ravens guys?
I play either Broncos player over either Baltimore player.
What about Algier?
Algier's probably ahead of. I like McLaughlin more than Algier, and then the rest of the bunch.
So, all in all, playable, benchable in these start 10s. Probably got to play him in the start 12.
Yeah.
All right. Sunday night games.
Sunday night football. We got 2.
Hey, wait.
Yeah,
I thought you said there were good games coming up.
There are good games coming up.
There are good games coming up?
Sunday night.
Like high over-unders?
Yeah, man. 2 of them. 2 big ones.
Oh,
okay. Here we are. We're at it, man. It only took 52 minutes, but we're here. The Chargers and the Chiefs, baby. This one's going to be sweet. I can't wait for this game. I love this. 48 points. 48 points for the Chargers and Chiefs. Mahomes and Herbert. The LA Chargers side of this thing. You just start everybody. You just start everybody who's playing in this football game who you have on a fantasy roster for the most part. It's Justin Herbert. It's Austin Eckler. It's Keenan Allen. It's Josh Palmer. Palmer's been really good. He's seen
Palmer's been really good.
What, like 18 targets the last 3 weeks, or it's more than that. It's like 23 targets or something. I was looking at him earlier. Josh Palmer was almost my buy. He was like really, really close to my buy this week. Yeah, but we started him. Gerald Everett. You play him. He scored last week.
Yeah, he had his best snap share of the season. His best participation of the season. I think he is wresting the job away from Parham, like all the snaps, right? Or he was over 72% of snaps last week, which is real good. So yeah, I think that's it. How do you feel about Josh Kelly? Were you all the way out?
I think I'm all the way out. I don't own any of them, but yeah, I'm probably completely out. Yeah, I expected him to just phase out entirely when Eckler was healthy, and that seems to be what happened.
Yep. Other side of the ball, Chiefs must starts. Mahomes, Ma'auto, and Pacheco.
Ma'auto. I want to get a Ma'auto jersey.
I do too. It's so good.
Yeah, let's go.
There you go. So, unlike the Chargers, where it's like you pretty much start everybody and nobody's a fringe play. After those 3 guys, we've got all this stuff on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Where like you don't have to play. There are various versions of you don't have to play it, but you could. Right? So we start with Rashee Rice. He's the best of those bunch. A perfectly good option as a wide receiver 4 in these start 10s. A must start in a start 12, but like as messy as this wide receiver group is, he's definitely not a must start, I think, in a start 10. Do you agree with that?
No, I agree. I still have Rashee Rice in a lot of my taxi squads. I have tons of shares of him. If you shouldn't need to start him unless there's really buy stuff happening. Like,
I mean, there are 6 teams on bye. Right?
That's a lot. It's a apocalypse, so you fire him up as your 3 when you need to, and you activate him when you need to. I never give any credence to the roster spot. I'll just throw that out there. So you just fire him up if you need him. But I'm not like psyched for Rice yet. He's still like a low end RB running back, wide receiver 3 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3-4, something in there. I mean, the targets have been consistent but not great, and I think he's like wide receiver 48 on the year so far. So yeah, Kadarius Toney is an adequate wide receiver 4 play. He's behind Rashee Rice for me. The targets have been good. The snaps are not good. He's like a gadget player. He gets a high targets per route run, but he's not on the field a lot. So it's a little bit hard to evaluate, but you can always throw a dart. After that, you've got Sky Moore, who is falling off, who has not been productive, and he's falling off in snap share. But he was over 50% snap share last week. So, like, you can still play him, like he's a viable play at some level at the wide receiver, at the start 11, start 12 leagues are out there. And then they just traded for Mecole Hardman. And I don't think we know where he could go. And I just want to say, like, it's expected that he plays. And it would not absolutely stun me if Pat Mahomes decided to get him very heavily involved immediately. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was the most targeted wide receiver on the week.
Yeah, Justin Watson's going to miss some time, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
but like,
he's out.
I mean,
I just wonder if Mecole doesn't drop right into that role that Watson does. But yeah, he could actually be heavily involved as a coming home type deal. Mahomes does that for him.
Yeah, I mean, they could be boys. Who knows? Like, it's nobody else has foreclosed that possibility. Right?
They must be feeling like they have a lack of speed. I mean, right? That they don't have a deep threat right now in the roster, especially with Watson out. So, they know they bring in Hardman to fill that role. They know they will need him throughout the year, so they want to get him involved in their offense heavily immediately. Not that he will continue to be heavily, but like they just want to get him in, make him feel like he's here, he's a part, he's in there.
Yeah, and
that would make sense.
He's played more snaps by far. He's probably played more snaps with Mahomes than the next 3 wide receivers than Rice, Toney, and Moore combined.
Yep.
In their career, right? So like he'll know where Mahomes wants him on plays better than these guys, right? So that's why, like, it wouldn't surprise me now that they've got the Jets to pay a bunch of his salary and he's cheap for them again, if he became sort of like a de facto 1 or 2 on this team. I'm not calling for that, but like you gotta be prepared for him to upset the apple cart here.
If he got like 5 or 6 targets a game for the rest of the season, he would be the ultimate post hype that there ever was. I don't know.
Absolutely. And then we got Jerick McKinnon.
Hey, Jerick McKinnon.
Mm-hmm. Like, is a desperation play, but he is always a threat to score. And like he is always a threat to be the running back 3 on the week because he scored 2 shovel pass touchdowns and had 5 catches.
If he gets a crease, he's gone. He's still got the speed, the straight line speed that he's always had. He still has that, so he's always a threat. And he's McKinnon or Algier.
Probably Algier. But like I'll tell you what, if I was an underdog, it's McKinnon.
I'd probably go on McKinnon all day just because like the ceiling's high. Afraid. The ceiling's so much higher, and even if he whiffs, what do I miss from Algier? Like
no, that's fair. That's fair. I am very afraid that McKinnon will straight goose you like any given moment.
That's the dice.
But like he's got so much ceiling compared to a lot of these guys, right? Like he's not on the field a lot, but they throw him the football and they use him in the red zone. So like those are some very high leverage usage spots.
He has Mahomes' trust, right? And there's always value to have like an elite quarterback trust. Like that player just is involved, like James White-esque.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So that was our big AFC nightcap on Sunday. And then we got the big-time Monday Night Football matchup. We got the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, no. Ooh, I skipped one. Sorry. We got another one here. We got Miami at Philly, baby. Miami at Philly. So this is like Sunday as well, right? This is a late game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the Chiefs game's at 4 then. All right, yeah, my bad.
Oh, I missed that.
No, you're good. We got it. Miami at Philly. On the Dolphins side of this, I mean, you start the dudes you've been starting all year. It's Tua, it's Mostert, it's Hill, it's Waddle. Run them all out there. I'm not playing anybody else. Smythe would be a low end tight end 2 option.
How do you feel? How do you feel about Salvin Ahmed? You?
Yeah, I think he's the clear handcuff here. But what did he do last week?
He was good enough. I mean, the opportunity was there, right? Like I feel like.
Oh yeah, I feel Chris Brooks is on the IR now.
In this over under, I'm pretty inclined to play him where I have him.
I am too. Ahmed, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, sorry. He's probably someone you can play. He's a low end flex, like 2, 3, 4 in that range.
Yeah, like in these start 10s, you're probably finding a way to play him unless you're real good. And on the Eagles side, we've got the Eagles are one of the easiest teams. It's Hurts, Brown, Smith, Swift, Goedert, play everybody. That's it. And then Kenneth Gainwell, we can talk about it. He's a very desperate play. He has not been good, but he's on the field for 40% of the snaps in a 52 over-under game, and there are a lot of teams on buys. So you throw up your hands, Gainwell or Algier?
Probably Gainwell. Yeah, Gainwell.
Gainwell or McKinnon?
Some juice. McKinnon.
Okay, so like Gainwell or Latavius with Harris out.
Yeah, give me Murray.
Gainwell or the 2 Broncos guys?
I'll play McLaughlin over Gainwell. And then...
But Javonte. You play Javonte.
I don't know, man. That's tough against those 2. That would be a tough decision to make. That's
okay, so like Gainwell is in that area.
Yeah.
Right. So
give me Gainwell over the Broncos players.
And no one else.
Maybe. I don't know. Jaleel. I'm going to struggle with that. I don't want to waste time.
We're not playing third. We're not playing third wide receivers and messing around with anything else on the Eagles side. So moving on, San Francisco 49ers, Minnesota Vikings. This is the Monday night game.
This is money Monday night. I love this. Kirk Cousins on prime time, ready to get destroyed by the Niners defense. San Francisco, we're playing Brock Purdy. We're playing Brandon Ayuk. We're playing George Kittle. I am planning as if both CMC and Debo are going to miss. That's what I'm planning for personally. I don't have either of them in any of my lineups. Yeah, if they do play either of them, I'm probably going to put them in my lineup though if they're active. It's just tough.
Wait, but you're not going to know.
I'm not going to know, and I have them out. But like if I have other pivots that I had in that game, like I have Elijah Mitchell in most places where I own CMC. So like, I don't know. I guess that makes sense though. I don't know. I have them out of my lineups currently. So maybe we get news on Sunday afternoon that they commit to being in.
Yeah.
What are you doing with it?
I am basically unwilling. I'm making sure I have a pivot, right? Because so CMC is in my flex. Oh, I'm counting on Debo not playing. Okay, so unless there's something weird where, unless there's something weird or I'm in a really desperate spot, I'm pretty much counting on Debo not playing. CMC, I cannot bear the thought of having played someone else, lost the game, and then hearing he's active on Monday night, right? So, like, I am putting him on my flex and making sure I have somebody I can pivot to, like KJ Osborne, or, like, if it's not Mitchell, or then maybe Mason. But if not that,
yeah.
Cam Akers. Yeah. Like, who? Oh, gosh. What are some other pivety things that
Jawan Jennings, I don't know.
Jennings, right? Jawan Jennings, right? So you got to have something like that.
Tebow should miss. There's a chance McCaffrey plays, but I don't expect him to.
I kind of think he's a coin flip.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Mitchell and Mason?
I think Mitchell is the 2 personally from what I've seen. I think the only reason we saw more Mason was because of the injury. We like to think the injuries don't cost anything. I don't think Mason was good enough to really establish himself in the time he played to usurp. Shanahan's going to start the guy he likes more. Maybe that is Mason now, but for my money, I'm betting on Mitchell.
I agree with that. Yep. I agree with that. So, but I think you can play both. I don't think it'll be
if McCaffrey's out, you could play both.
I don't think anybody's going to get all the work.
Yeah, if CMC were to miss, I would just and I had CMC, I would try to roster whichever one I could if I'm a CMC owner, and then I would just play that guy if I needed to.
That's how I feel.
And I would commit to doing that also. I wouldn't sit all the options out of obscurity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Who would ever do that? That's stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're at the end here. We got one more team, the Vikings. What are we doing there?
Addison, Madison, Hockenson, starting all of those.
Yeah.
You're not starting Cam Akers. You're not. KJ Osborne is a deep league play. And Kirk Cousins is probably a quarterback too, but this is the kind of matchup where I love that San Francisco defense.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do not love playing Cousins against them. So I think the Vikings are pretty easy right now. Osborne is the questionable play. I do think you can get away with playing Osborne in the bipocalypse. Or again, I think he's a perfect pivot if CMC misses, if you're in that kind of situation. I think there's some potential volume there. He's I think the most difficult decision on either team in this game.
Yeah. I would agree with that. There is some floor here, I think, for Osborne. It's just such a limited ceiling that he is in that wide receiver 3-4 territory, probably more 4.
Yeah.
But 4 for 40, I really good odds he does something like that. I think, if not better.
Right, and that's 8
Yeah.
points in your full PPR
Yeah,
league,
and
that's like a
okay.
nice floor if you're in a bipocalypse and the other guy is also in a bipocalypse and you're trying to scratch out
Oh yeah.
one of those 103 to 98 wins, So there you go.
KJ Osborne or Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. So Osborne's pretty far down there.
No, I just think you're just not getting that Kendrick Bourne has 3 9-target games and 2 11-target games in 6 weeks. And you're shell shocked with Kendrick Bourne. You should play Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's been good. He did all those 20 points without a touchdown. It's pretty sweet.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Play Kendrick Bourne, baby. Love it. Thank you for joining us
I
today.
guess that's what we learned this hour. Play Kendrick Bourne.
Play him. Just play him. We learned it.
Like and subscribe, folks.
Fire up all those things that we had on the bench. Yeah, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you're playing Kendrick Bourne and who you're playing him over, or who you're playing over Bourne. Let's talk about it. Good luck this Sunday, everybody. Cheers. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful night.